The sea wind reaches the city long before night fully arrives. It moves through Alexandria in slow currents, carrying the scent of salt, parchment, lamp oil, and distant rain from somewhere far beyond the Mediterranean horizon. You walk carefully beneath the fading light of evening, your sandals brushing softly against pale stone streets still warm from the day. Around you, Alexandria glows gold beneath sunset. Marble columns catch the final sunlight. Bronze statues shine briefly before sinking into shadow. The great harbor beyond the city reflects thousands of fractured colors beneath the lowering sky. Ships from distant kingdoms rest quietly in the water. Egyptian vessels beside Greek triremes. Merchant ships from Rome. Smaller boats carrying spices and scrolls from lands farther east. The entire world seems to arrive here, eventually, and somewhere above all of it, rising over the coastline like a second moon, the lighthouse of Pharos burns steadily against the darkening sky. Its fire has already been lit for the night, a towering flame guiding travelers safely toward Alexandria long after sunset. You pause briefly beside a crowded marketplace and glance toward it. Even from this distance, the lighthouse feels impossible, a structure so massive it seems less built than summoned from stone itself. The people of Alexandria speak of it with pride. Some speak of it almost religiously, as though human beings proved something about themselves by building fire tall enough to challenge the stars. The city around you remains alive despite the approaching night. Street vendors continue calling softly from beneath fabric awnings. Philosophers debate outside bathhouses, while servants carry baskets of figs and olive oil through crowded roads. Musicians play somewhere farther downhill toward the harbor. Their melodies drift through the evening air like smoke. Alexandria feels different from Rome. Less heavy, less crowded by power. The city breathes through ideas instead. Knowledge moves through these streets the way commerce moves through ports. Everywhere, people discuss astronomy, mathematics, poetry, medicine, navigation, philosophy. Even ordinary conversations seem touched by curiosity here. You continue uphill toward the royal district, where the Great Library rests near the palaces and scholarly halls. The streets widen gradually as you climb. The buildings become quieter, whiter, more deliberate in their design. Columns line the roads. Statues of scholars and rulers stand motionless beside carefully maintained gardens, where fountains continue flowing beneath the evening sky. Oil lamps flicker to life one by one along the pathways. Their warm glow spreads gently across smooth marble walls. Night arrives softly in Alexandria. Not harshly. Not suddenly. The city seems designed for twilight. Ahead, beyond rows of cypress trees and stone courtyards, the library slowly reveals itself. At first, only fragments appear between the columns. A rooftop, a stairway, bronze doors reflecting the last traces of sunset. Then gradually, the full structure emerges from shadow. Massive, silent, almost unreal beneath the growing darkness. The Great Library of Alexandria, a place spoken of across kingdoms with something close to reverence. The library does not resemble a temple exactly, and yet it carries the same atmosphere, the same stillness, the same sense that people enter differently than they leave. Torchlight burns beside the entrance stairs, where scholars and attendants still move quietly through the halls despite the late hour. The library rarely fully sleeps. Knowledge here is treated almost like a living thing, something that must constantly be protected, copied, studied, and preserved against time itself. You approach slowly. The sound of the harbor fades behind you. So does the marketplace. The city itself seems to soften near the library grounds, as though noise instinctively lowers its voice beside so many collected thoughts. A pair of scribes carrying rolled papyrus passes carefully down the stairs beside you. Their robes smell faintly of ink and dust. One nods politely before disappearing into the courtyard shadows. You climb the final steps toward the entrance. Bronze lamps burn beside towering cedar doors carved with geometric patterns and symbols from several civilizations. Greek lettering beside Egyptian designs. Fragments of older worlds gathered together beneath one roof. Alexandria absorbs cultures the way the sea absorbs rivers. You pause at the threshold for a moment. Cool air drifts outward from inside the library, dry air carrying the unmistakable scent of parchment and aged papyrus, a scent unlike any other. Dust, ink, leather bindings, old wood shelves warmed for centuries by oil lamps and human hands. The smell of preserved memory. You step inside. The sounds of the city disappear almost immediately. The library absorbs noise gently. Footsteps soften against polished floors. Conversations become whispers naturally, without anyone asking. The entrance hall stretches outward beneath a ceiling painted deep blue, with tiny golden stars scattered across. Torchlight flickers against the painted constellations above. For a brief moment, it feels less like entering a building and more like stepping beneath another night sky entirely. Rows of statues line the hall. Poets, astronomers, philosophers, men whose thoughts travel farther than their bodies ever could. Their stone faces watch silently as scholars continue moving through the halls carrying scrolls and clay tablets beneath warm lantern light. Somewhere deeper inside the library, you hear the soft scratching of reed pens against papyrus. Elsewhere, quiet voices debate in Greek beneath the distant echo of footsteps crossing marble floors. The building lives through study even at night. You move farther inward slowly, past reading chambers illuminated by hanging bronze lamps, past alcoves where tired scholars sleep briefly beside unfinished texts, past shelves rising upward into darkness, beyond the reach of torchlight. Every corridor seems to lead toward another. Every room opens into deeper rooms beyond it. The library feels endless from within, a labyrinth built not from stone alone, but from accumulated thought. The deeper you walk, the quieter the world becomes. Outside, Alexandria continues glowing beside the sea. Ships arrive beneath the lighthouse fire. Markets slowly close. Music drifts through distant streets. But here, inside the Great Library, another kind of night begins. A quieter night. A slower one. A night made from silence, ink, memory, and stars painted onto ceilings above endless halls of human knowledge. The deeper halls of the library feel cooler than the entrance chambers. The air changes gradually as you continue walking inward, less touched by the warmth of the city outside, less touched by time itself. Oil lamps burn steadily along the walls, their flames protected behind thin bronze coverings that soften the light into a warm golden glow. The shadows here move slowly, quietly. Nothing flickers sharply inside the library. Even fire seems calmer among so many scrolls. You pass a long chamber lined with wooden tables, where several scholars still remain awake, despite the late hour. Some copy texts carefully by hand beneath hanging lamps. Others sit motionless with open scrolls resting before them, lost somewhere deep inside mathematics or philosophy or distant history. One older scholar has fallen asleep beside a stack of papyrus rolls. His reed pen still rests loosely between his fingers. No one disturbs him. Sleep belongs naturally to places filled with thought. The scratching of ink across parchment continues softly through the hall, a steady rhythm, almost like rainfall. You continue deeper into the library. The corridors narrow slightly here. The ceilings lower. Shelves rise higher. Thousands upon thousands of scrolls rest within carefully carved alcoves, stretching into shadow. Some contain poetry, others astronomy, medicine, geometry, politics, religious myths from kingdoms already fading into history. The entire world appears gathered here in fragile layers of papyrus and ink. It feels impossible that so much memory can exist beneath one roof. A faint smell of cedar wood drifts through the corridor. The shelves themselves are crafted carefully from imported timber, designed to resist moisture from the sea air outside. Alexandria understands that knowledge is delicate. Everything inside the library exists to preserve it against decay, against fire, against forgetting. You pass beneath an archway painted with symbols representing the planets known to ancient astronomers. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. The wandering lights crossing the heavens above the Mediterranean night. Even the architecture of the library reflects the belief that understanding the stars might somehow help humanity understand itself. The corridor beyond opens suddenly into a circular chamber. You slow your steps immediately. The room feels different from the others. Quieter, almost sacred. A domed ceiling rises overhead, painted dark blue like the entrance hall. But here the stars have been mapped carefully into recognizable constellations. Tiny points of gold connected by delicate painted lines. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Great Bear. The same sky visible above Alexandria now rests recreated within the ceiling itself. Bronze instruments line the edges of the room beside rolled star charts and polished stone tables. Astronomers work here. You realize it immediately. One younger scholar adjusts a bronze armillary sphere near the center of the chamber, while an older woman records measurements carefully onto wax tablets beside him. Neither notices your presence. Or perhaps they simply do not mind it. The library welcomes quiet observation. Near the far wall, an opening in the ceiling reveals a narrow circle of the actual night sky above the city. The stars shine clearly through it. Small, distant, silent for a moment, the chamber feels suspended between earth and heaven alike. Human knowledge gathered beneath the real universe itself. The older astronomer speaks softly while marking symbols onto the tablet. You cannot hear every word from this distance. Only fragments. References to planetary movement. Predictions of lunar cycles. Discussions of time measured through shadows and stars, rather than rulers or kings. Empires rise and fall quickly compared to astronomy. The stars remain patient while human civilizations pass beneath them. You move quietly around the edge of the chamber. A shelf nearby contains scrolls labeled in Greek and Egyptian script alike. Calculations of eclipses, maps of constellations, observations recorded across generations of scholars, watching the same sky from different centuries. The thought settles strangely inside your mind. How many nights have been spent beneath these painted stars? How many scholars remained awake until dawn trying to measure the movement of planets or understand the mathematics hidden inside the heavens? The room carries the weight of accumulated wonder. Not power, not wealth. Wonder. That feeling alone seems enough to sustain the library. The younger astronomer briefly looks upward through the opening in the ceiling. His expression changes slightly beneath the lamplight. Not satisfaction exactly. Something quieter. The expression of someone aware that understanding will always remain incomplete. Perhaps that is why scholars continue searching. Because the stars never fully surrender their secrets, you leave the chamber slowly and continue deeper into the library once more. The corridors beyond grow even quieter. Fewer scholars remain awake here. The sounds of writing fade gradually into silence. Only footsteps remain now, soft against polished stone floors. You pass another reading room nearly empty, except for a single woman translating text from one language into another beneath the glow of a hanging lamp. Several dictionaries and reference scrolls surround her like walls, entire worlds crossing through her hands quietly in the middle of the night. Alexandria survives because translation survives. Ideas traveling farther than armies. You continue onward. The library begins feeling less like a building and more like a maze of memory itself. Every corridor leads toward older knowledge, older civilizations, older attempts to explain existence. The deeper you walk, the more distant the outside world becomes. The harbor, the markets, the lighthouse, even the city itself now feels very far away. Only the library remains. Lamplight, dust, scrolls, silence, and somewhere high above the domed ceilings and painted stars, the real night continues stretching endlessly over Alexandria. The corridors continue unfolding deeper into the library, like hidden passageways inside a dream. Each turn reveals another chamber, another archive, another quiet corner where human beings attempted to preserve fragments of the world against time. The lamps burn lower here, their lights softer and more golden against the stone walls. Fewer attendants move through these halls. Fewer footsteps disturb the silence. You begin noticing how carefully sound behaves inside the deeper library. Nothing echoes sharply. Even whispers seem absorbed gently into the air, as though the building itself protects concentration, protects thought. You pass shelves containing scrolls sealed inside cylindrical containers painted with symbols from distant kingdoms. Some texts arrive from India by ship, others from Persia, others copied from Egyptian temple records older than Alexandria itself. Entire civilizations rest sleeping upon these shelves beside one another. Empires that once believed themselves eternal now survive only through fragile lines of ink. The realization feels strangely calming rather than sad. Knowledge outlives power more often than kings do. Far ahead, faint torchlight flickers through another archway. You continue toward it slowly. The corridor opens into a vast chamber, unlike the others before it. This room feels older, heavier. The ceiling rises high into darkness, supported by enormous columns carved with lotus patterns and geometric Greek designs intertwined together. Egypt and Greece fused into stone beneath one roof. At the center of the chamber rests a long reflecting pool, surrounded by low marble platforms where scholars once sat reading beside the water. The surface remains perfectly still beneath the torchlight. The reflection of the columns trembles softly across the dark water, like fragmented memory. No one else appears awake here. The chamber belongs entirely to silence now. You walk slowly beside the pool. The sound of your footsteps fades beneath the stillness almost immediately. Along the surrounding walls stand statues of thinkers and astronomers from different ages. Some faces are worn smooth by time. Others remain sharp beneath drifting shadows. A Greek philosopher gazes toward an Egyptian priest carved centuries earlier beside him. Two worlds preserved together inside the same room. Alexandria gathers knowledge the way the sea gathers rivers. Everything eventually arrives here. You kneel briefly beside the reflecting pool. The water smells faintly of stone and oil from nearby lamps. Above, tiny painted stars cover sections of the ceiling once more. Not decorative stars this time. Astronomical stars. Precise stars. Patterns carefully arranged according to mathematical observation. Even beauty inside the library serves understanding. A soft sound reaches you somewhere beyond the chamber. Not footsteps. Pages turning. Slowly, rhythmically. You follow the sound through another narrow corridor, lined with shelves disappearing upward into darkness. The farther inward you move, the older the scrolls appear. Some papyrus rolls have darkened nearly brown with age. Others remain wrapped carefully inside protective linen. Attendants move through these archives carefully for good reason. One spark, one accident, and entire centuries could vanish into ash. The thought lingers quietly in your mind. How fragile memory truly is. Human beings spend lifetimes building knowledge that fire could erase within hours, and yet they continue building anyway. Perhaps that persistence itself is what matters most. The corridor ahead opens into a smaller chamber, lit by only 3 oil lamps. An elderly scholar sits alone beside a wooden table, surrounded by open scrolls. His white robe hangs loosely from tired shoulders. Thin fingers move carefully across faded lines of text, while his lips whisper fragments softly to himself. He does not notice you immediately, or perhaps chooses not to. The chamber smells strongly of old papyrus and cedar resin, used to preserve fragile manuscripts. You glance toward the nearest scrolls. Ancient tragedies, philosophical dialogues, early medical studies describing the movement of blood and the structure of bones. Human beings trying endlessly to understand themselves through observation and language. The scholar finally lifts his eyes briefly. His expression remains calm beneath the lamplight. Not surprised by your presence. Almost peaceful, as though strangers wandering the library at night belong naturally to the order of things. He nods once before returning to the text. No words exchanged, none necessary. The deeper halls encourage silence naturally. You leave the chamber quietly, and continue onward. The library changes again, farther inward. The architecture becomes more Egyptian here. The columns narrower, the carvings older in style. Hieroglyphs appear beside Greek inscriptions upon the walls. Ancient temple knowledge preserved inside newer halls built by foreign rulers. One civilization layered carefully atop another. A narrow staircase descends ahead into lower archives beneath the main structure. Cool air rises slowly from below, carrying stronger scents of dust and aged parchment. The lower levels, the oldest collections perhaps. You descend carefully. Torchlight fades softer against the stone steps. The sounds of the upper library disappear almost entirely now. No scholars, no scratching pens, only silence beneath the earth itself. The staircase opens into underground chambers, lined with sealed alcoves carved directly into stone walls. The atmosphere here feels ancient in a different way, less intellectual, more sacred, like entering buried memory. Clay jars rest beside carefully wrapped manuscripts protected from humidity and light. Some texts may not have been opened in generations. The air feels perfectly still. Even breathing sounds louder underground. You move slowly through the chamber. Hieroglyphs cover parts of the walls illuminated faintly by the remaining torchlight. Symbols of stars, birds, rivers, gods carrying the sun across darkness. The library reaches deeper than scholarship alone. Beneath the mathematics and philosophy rests something older. Humanity's ancient desire to explain existence itself. To understand death, time, the heavens, the soul. Every civilization asks the same questions eventually. Only the symbols change. Far above these underground chambers, Alexandria continues sleeping beside the sea. The lighthouse fire still burns against the night sky. Ships drift quietly in the harbor. Markets wait for dawn. But here beneath the Great Library, the oldest thoughts of the ancient world remain awake in silence beside the darkness. The underground chambers feel untouched by ordinary time. The air remains cool and perfectly still around you. No wind reaches this depth beneath the library. No sound from the harbor above. Only silence resting against stone older than memory. The torchlight moves softly across the hieroglyphs carved into the walls. Birds' eyes, solar discs. Kings standing beside gods whose names have already faded from many parts of the world above. The deeper levels of the library preserve more than knowledge. They preserve belief. Entire systems of meaning carried carefully across centuries by civilizations terrified of being forgotten. You continue walking slowly between the sealed alcoves. Some contain clay jars marked with wax seals. Others hold bundles of papyrus, wrapped carefully in linen darkened by age. The smell here differs from the upper library. Less cedar, more dust, more stone, more ancient dryness untouched by sea air or sunlight. A low chamber opens farther ahead beneath a curved ceiling painted deep blue. The paint has faded unevenly over the centuries, but traces of gold stars still remain scattered overhead. Another sky beneath the earth. The ancient world constantly recreated the heavens indoors, as though bringing the stars closer made existence easier to understand. At the center of the chamber rests a stone table surrounded by bronze instruments, blackened with age. Astronomical devices, early calendars, measuring tools aligned carefully towards small openings carved high into the walls where narrow beams of light enter during certain times of year. You realize slowly what this room once was. An observatory beneath the library itself, a hidden place where priests and astronomers studied the heavens in silence, far from the noise of the city. The realization changes the atmosphere immediately. The chamber no longer feels abandoned, only sleeping. Waiting quietly beneath the earth, you step closer toward the central table. Symbols have been carved directly into the stone surface. Planetary paths, lunar phases, constellations linked together through delicate geometric lines, ancient attempts to impose order upon the movement of the universe. The people who built this chamber believed the heavens carried meaning, not random motion, not empty meaning, every star positioned with purpose, every eclipse carrying divine significance. Human beings have always searched the sky for reassurance that existence follows hidden patterns. You glance upward toward the faded ceiling. The painted stars above resemble those in the higher astronomical chamber, but older in style, less mathematical, more symbolic. Here the heavens still belong partly to myth, to gods carrying the sun across darkness, to divine boats sailing through the underworld beneath the earth each night before dawn returns. Science and religion remain intertwined here beneath Alexandria. Not enemies yet, only different languages describing the same mysteries. A soft creaking sound reaches you suddenly from somewhere deeper underground. You pause. The silence afterward feels enormous. Then, another sound. Slow footsteps. An attendant appears gradually from a shadowed corridor carrying a bronze oil lamp. His expression remains calm when he notices you, almost unsurprised, as though visitors wandering too deep into the library at night happens more often than expected. Without speaking, he raises the lamp slightly toward another passage farther ahead. An invitation, perhaps, or a warning. It is difficult to tell. You follow slowly. The corridor narrows further as it descends. The ceilings lower. The walls rougher now, less polished than the upper levels. These foundations existed before the Great Library expanded above them. Older structures buried beneath newer knowledge. Alexandria itself rests upon layers of forgotten worlds. The attendant walks silently ahead. Lamplight sways gently against the stone. Neither of you speaks. Words feel unnecessary underground. The passage opens at last into another chamber, unlike any before it, circular, windowless, quiet beyond description. The center of the room contains a shallow black pool, perfectly still beneath the darkness. Not water for drinking, reflecting water. Ceremonial, perhaps. The surface mirrors the lamplight softly, like fragments of distant stars. Around the edges of the chamber stand shelves containing sealed texts, unlike the ordinary scrolls above. These are wrapped carefully in darker fabric, protected separately. Sacred writings, perhaps. Mystical philosophy. Temple records. Forbidden interpretations of astronomy and religion, preserved quietly beneath public scholarship. The attendant finally speaks, his voice barely louder than breathing. Some knowledge, he says softly in Greek, was never meant for crowded halls. Then silence again. He places the lamp beside the reflecting pool and disappears slowly back into the corridor without further explanation. You remain alone beneath the library. The chamber feels suspended outside the ordinary world. No empire exists here. No harbor, no marketplace. Only darkness, reflection, memory, and the endless human desire to understand what lies beyond visible life. You kneel slowly beside the black pool. Its surface remains completely still. The reflection of the lamp trembles gently across the water. Above you, hidden beneath layers of stone and marble and sleeping city streets, the real night sky continues moving across Alexandria unseen. The stars shift slowly toward dawn. The lighthouse still burns beside the sea. Ships drift silently in the harbor darkness, but here underground, time feels slower, almost circular, as though the ancient scholars who built these chambers understood something about silence modern minds rarely touch, that the deepest truths are often discovered not through noise or debate, but through stillness. You sit quietly beside the reflecting pool, the underground air cool against your skin, the smell of stone and oil lingering softly in the darkness, and somewhere far above the buried halls of the Great Library, the first hidden signs of approaching dawn begin touching the eastern horizon beyond Alexandria. You remain beside the black pool for a long while without measuring time. The stillness inside the underground chamber changes the mind slowly. Thoughts arrive more quietly here, then dissolve again before fully forming. The surface of the water reflects only the small bronze lamp resting nearby, a single trembling light surrounded by darkness. The ancient scholars who built this chamber understood something modern cities often forget. That silence itself can become a kind of knowledge. You trace your fingers lightly across the stone floor beside the pool. The surface feels cool and smooth from centuries of use. How many others once sat here beneath the library? Astronomers waiting for certain stars to align. Priests studying sacred texts hidden from public halls above. Philosophers descending underground to escape the noise of ordinary life. Perhaps some came searching for truth, others for peace, others simply for quiet. The distinction becomes difficult to separate after enough time underground. The lamp flame shifts gently as unseen currents move through the lower passages. Tiny shadows ripple across the walls covered in faded symbols, eyes, stars, solar boats carrying light through darkness before sunrise returns to the world again. Ancient Egypt believed the sun traveled beneath the earth each night, passing through hidden realms before being reborn at dawn. Sitting here beneath Alexandria, the story suddenly feels less symbolic. The underground chambers themselves resemble the ancient underworld. Silent halls beneath sleeping cities, sacred darkness, waiting patiently beneath human life. You look upward instinctively, despite the stone ceiling above. Somewhere beyond layers of earth and marble and library halls, the real night continues fading toward morning. The stars move slowly above the Mediterranean Sea. The lighthouse fire still burns for travelers approaching Alexandria from distant coasts. And yet down here, the outside world already feels very far away. The underground chamber exists almost separately from ordinary time. The texts resting upon the surrounding shelves remain hidden in shadow, their coverings dark and carefully sealed. Knowledge preserved quietly outside the reach of public debate. Some truths, perhaps, were considered too dangerous, others too sacred. Human civilizations always divide knowledge this way eventually. Open wisdom above, hidden wisdom below. You close your eyes briefly. The silence deepens immediately. Without sight, the chamber becomes pure sensation. Cool air against your skin. The faint smell of oil and ancient stone. The quiet breathing of the underground itself. Far away, almost impossible to hear. Water moves somewhere through hidden channels beneath the city. Alexandria rests beside the sea. Moisture eventually finds every depth. You open your eyes again slowly. The lamp has burned lower while you rested beside the pool. The shadows stretch longer now across the chamber walls. The painted symbols seem almost alive beneath the moving light. A strange calm settles fully inside you, not sleep. Something deeper. The kind of peace that arrives only in places built carefully for reflection. Ancient libraries understood this balance well. Knowledge was never meant only for gathering information. It was meant to transform the mind itself. The deeper halls of Alexandria seemed designed precisely for that purpose, to lead visitors gradually inward, away from noise, away from crowds, away from certain, until only silence and wonder remain. A faint sound drifts down from somewhere high above the underground levels, very distant, almost imperceptible. Birds, the first birds greeting approaching dawn somewhere outside the library. Morning is beginning. Even beneath the earth, you can feel the world slowly changing. The air shifts slightly. The darkness softens. The long night approaches its final hour. You rise slowly from beside the reflecting pool. Your movements feel quieter now, more deliberate. The underground chamber remains perfectly still behind you as you step back toward the narrow corridor. The sealed texts rest untouched upon their shelves. The black water returns to complete silence beneath the fading lamp. The hidden wisdom of Alexandria sinks once more into darkness. You begin climbing slowly back through the underground passages. Each step upward feels gradual, like returning from another world. The walls change slowly as you ascend, rough stone becoming polished marble once more. Hieroglyphs giving way to Greek inscriptions and painted constellations. The deeper silence, loosening gently into the softer sounds of the upper library. Somewhere ahead, faint scratching pens can already be heard again. The scholars above never fully stopped working through the night. Knowledge remains awake longer than most human beings can. You emerge once more into the astronomical chamber beneath the painted stars. The opening in the ceiling now reveals the faintest traces of pale blue spreading across the sky above Alexandria. Dawn approaches quickly. The younger astronomer still remains beside the bronze instruments, recording observations by lamplight. Exhaustion shadows his face now, but also quiet satisfaction. The older woman has disappeared. Only the stars and calculations remain beside him. He glances briefly upward through the ceiling opening, then toward you. For a moment, neither of you speaks. No explanation needed. The library itself has already spoken enough through the night. You continue walking slowly back through the endless halls, past sleeping scholars, past towers of scrolls resting in shadow, past chambers where knowledge from every corner of the ancient world waits patiently for future hands and future minds. The library feels different now than when you entered. Not smaller, not less mysterious, only more alive, as though the building itself breathes quietly beneath the weight of human memory. Ahead, faint morning light begins touching the upper corridors near the entrance halls. Soft silver replacing torchlight little by little. The night inside the Great Library of Alexandria slowly comes to an end. And somewhere beyond the marble walls and awakening city streets, the Mediterranean dawn rises gently over the ancient world once more. The upper halls of the library glow softly beneath the first light of morning. Torch flames fade gradually against the growing silver-blue light, entering through high windows and open courtyards. The transition happens slowly enough that it almost feels unreal. Night surrendering carefully to dawn. You move quietly through the waking library, while the scholars around you continue their work with calm persistence. Some never left their tables. Others sleep briefly, with heads resting upon folded arms beside unfinished scrolls. A young attendant carries fresh oil lamps through the corridors, even as daylight begins spreading across the marble floors. The library prepares constantly for both darkness and light. Knowledge here does not belong to 1 hour alone. You pass again beneath the painted ceilings filled with stars. In daylight, they appear softer now, less mysterious perhaps, but no less beautiful. The golden constellations still shimmer faintly above the halls like echoes from the night that has just passed. Outside the high windows, Alexandria slowly awakens beside the sea. You can hear distant gulls drifting inland from the harbour. The sound of wagon wheels begins rising from the streets beyond the royal quarter. Somewhere far below, merchants are opening market stalls beneath awnings, still wet from sea air. Morning spreads through the city in layers. You continue walking toward the entrance hall. The great columns beside the corridors glow pale gold now. Where sunlight finally touches them, dust drifts through the beams of light like tiny floating stars. The smell of parchment remains strong inside the library. Papyrus, ink, old cedar shelves warmed gently by centuries of lamps and sunlight alike. The scent of preserved thought. You pause briefly beside one of the tall windows overlooking part of the city below. Alexandria stretches outward beneath the growing dawn. White stone rooftops, temple dome, palm trees swaying gently near hidden courtyards. And beyond everything, the sea itself reflecting pale morning light toward the horizon. The lighthouse of Pharos still burns faintly against the fading darkness, though its flame grows less visible with every passing moment. Soon, daylight will swallow it entirely. Ships drift slowly into the harbour beneath the final traces of dawn mist. Tiny movements against the endless Mediterranean blue. The world continues arriving at Alexandria. It always will. The library behind you remains quiet despite the approaching day. The deeper halls still hold the silence of night within them. Astronomers continue studying stars now invisible in the brightening sky. Scribes continue preserving poems and histories against the erosion of time. Philosophers continue searching for meaning among shelves filled with older searches. The building itself feels eternal in these moments, as though knowledge could somehow outlast the fragile civilizations protecting it. And yet beneath that beauty rests another truth. Everything here remains vulnerable. Papyrus burns, wood rots, empires collapse. Even the greatest libraries depend upon human beings choosing to preserve them. The thought lingers softly as you descend the final staircase toward the entrance. The bronze doors ahead stand partially open now. Morning air drifts inward, carrying the scent of saltwater and waking streets. You step slowly toward the threshold. Behind you, the endless halls of the library disappear gradually into golden shadow. Rows of scrolls, painted stars, hidden underground chambers beneath the earth. A world built from silence and memory. Ahead, Alexandria waits beneath the sunrise. You step outside. The cool sea breeze touches your face immediately. The city glows softly beneath the early Mediterranean sun. Servants sweep marble courtyards clean. Scholars cross the palace roads, carrying fresh bundles of papyrus beneath their arms. Temple bells ring faintly somewhere across the district. The harbor shimmers beyond the rooftops. Everything feels brighter after the long night inside the library. Sharper, lighter, and yet part of the silence remains within you. A quieter rhythm carried outward from the underground chambers and painted observatories hidden beneath the city. You descend the library steps slowly, the stones still cool beneath your sandals from the night air. The cypress trees lining the pathways move gently in the morning breeze. Above them, the sky has turned fully blue now, the stars gone. The moon vanished into daylight, but the memory of the night remains. The endless corridors, the astronomers beneath painted constellations, the hidden chamber beneath the earth, where ancient knowledge rested beside black still water. The realization settles softly within your mind. Libraries are not merely buildings filled with books. They are maps of human longing, proof that generations before you looked at the stars and refused to remain silent before mystery. You walk slowly away from the Great Library of Alexandria, while the city awakens fully around you. The sounds of daytime grow stronger with every street. Merchants calling prices, children running through courtyards, sailors unloading cargo from distant kingdoms, life returning loudly beneath the morning sun. But somewhere deep beneath the noise of the waking city, the silent halls of the library remain waiting beside their endless shelves. And far above Alexandria, beyond the lighthouse and the sea and the brightening sky, the same ancient stars still rest invisibly beyond daylight, waiting patiently for night to return once more.